You know, the other day I was trying to figure out how to make a branch, and I think it would be very nice because I'm very obsessed with, well, trees at the moment. I try to make them as much as I can just to learn the different shapes and how to use color and all the things. So I thought it would be a good idea to study more how to create more realistic, not realistic, but more beautiful, I would say, branches slash trunk. So yeah, this is a video about this. Stay here if you like that. First of all, what are we gonna use? Well, as a paper, I'm going to use Arches today. That is 300 gram per square meter, cold press, meaning that it has nice and rough texture, and it's 100% cotton. Why this matter? Because the color is gonna flow around into the paper very well, and it's going to be beautiful to have all those shades. Plus, instead of the color be on top of the paper, it's gonna get inside the paper. And when you're doing, you know, different layers, let's say, of watercolor, it's nice that you go through one layer and it not affecting the layer underneath it as much as possible. And then we are gonna use my new palette of watercolor that I'm in love with it so much. It's from Rosa Gallery. So I was lucky enough to find somebody in the internet that was selling this palette. So it's a second-hand palette. And it has a very, very full palette with a lot of colors. But the best part to me is that I was thinking about buy so many colors from this Ukrainian, I think it's Ukrainian watercolor maker. And then I check online, and there was this person that was selling basically all the color that I really, really like. I love the tone. I love that some of them are very desaturated. There are some dramatic. Some of them are like popping so much. The violet purple are so beautiful. These at the moment are my favorite color. I'm using them all the time when I'm sketching. Let me show you. I don't know, they're so beautiful together. Like seriously, so beautiful. So I was definitely willing to buy those colors again because I almost ran out of them. And then this nice, amazing person decided, well, to sell a whole palette that has so many colors that I love. And I think some of them are going to be great for this exercise. We're going to use Humber, burnt Humber. This one, I have no idea what it says. Indan Gray. I'm gonna find this color because unfortunately the palette the pan doesn't have the name anymore. So I'm gonna double check the name on this one. Perlin Gray, it's amazing. And I think we're also gonna use sap green, mix emerald green with other color because this is way too bright. But if you mix it with other colors, it gets very nice shade. So yeah, this is the plan. Okay, there is no way in which I can fit everything in the camera, so well, let me know if this setting is okay in the comment, or if you rather prefer to see maybe the colors or something like this. I think this is very nice to see, so you can see all the different colors that I'm gonna use and how they mix nicely. But the plan is this. First of all, we create an underwash, so basically the first layer in which we're gonna mix a bunch of colors to create a little bit of brightness, and then on top of that, we're gonna add the details of the bark. I think this tree is gonna be something like oak. How is it called in English? Well, you can tell me that in the comment as well. But let's keep going. So for the first layer, you can use whatever rectangular shape brush you have, or even like if you have one of those that has like not synthetic fibers, they are very nice as well. For me though, I would use this one, not because I need this water tank here, that's absolutely not the case, but this is part of this extremely cheap Tiger set of water brushes. The thing is that they haven't cut very well the line here. So I'm pretty sure their idea was to have something that has a very clear, nice cut like this one, but they didn't. So now I have a brush that is not that regular, and it's perfect when you have to create something that is natural, because when you have something that is natural, the more imperfection they are, the better it is. So let's create a first underwash. I'm gonna get a bunch of color. This is indigo, but I actually wanted to take burnt sienna, that is this one, burnt umber, sorry. And I want to mix them a little bit together. And then I want to also add a little bit of water. And then you go with the shape. So for the shape, just first of all, you can check whatever picture in the internet or an actual tree, or you can just go very, very randomly. But don't overthink about it, okay? Just go with a shape that reminds of a tree. Most important, prepare way more color rather than the one that I have done, and add a lot of water. So then the color is gonna float around and it's gonna be very nice and clean. Not clean at all, I don't know why I say clean, but it's gonna flow around and that's very nice. You can add just water, just to mix things around again. It's gonna be very massive tree. And then, since you want to create a little bit of roundness, let's go with the indigo. Again, mix it together just to make the color more consistent, because if you just use the color as it is, it might not just merge very well into your frame, and it's gonna be like, I don't feel like these colors should be here. Let's make it bigger so you can see better. The edge, of course, of a tree, it's never gonna be a smooth edge. It's gonna be, well, it depends on the tree, I would say, but in general, they are not that smooth. Okay. Don't be afraid of not colors, because they're gonna fade away at some point, so that's absolutely fine. And in general, when a watercolor dries up, it's definitely changed. It's gonna be less dark. Okay, so this is the first step. Now, one thing that I wanna do is that, first of all, I want to have my edges that are not as smooth. Then, see that there are random colors here. This is because the tree itself doesn't have one color. It has so many different colors in itself. So you can grab another color, mix it together with something that you already have. So let's say I want to mix this very bright emerald with burnt umber to have this a little bit less saturated color, okay? And then you splash it into your composition. This will give the illusion that these are, they're called in English lichen, I don't know. But it's basically going to create this mess that it's actually the tree bark, right? And then another thing that you can do is, well, that you should do, add brighter color, okay? This is way brighter than the other one. This is called English red from my new palette. This is so nice palette. But yeah, make it messy. Don't stop at one color. Trees doesn't have one single color. They have so many. And most importantly, since this is like the first layer, leave the watercolor going around. Don't be scared about it. Just let it flow. It's gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy. Everybody's gonna be happy. I want to add a little bit more brownish color. Maybe burnt sienna should be good on these sides, just to create even more interesting shape. So one side is gonna be in the darkness, and the other side is gonna be more on the light. Nice. Now let's add a little bit of randomness. Take your indigo, smash it together with all the other colors, blah, 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 and just drop some random things around. Lovely. Last step, and then we're gonna stop to let it dry. Add a little bit of clear water, just water. Let it flow. Let it flow. Maybe decide one point in which you have it, this kind of effect, and just go a little bit here, for example. Now, let's see that this is a very good quality paper because it's made by cotton. So you see how it spreads very nicely. This is something that you can obtain with cotton paper, but not necessarily with other paper. And then let's add some line, just because later we're gonna have some bark, and I want to remember about this. And that's it. As you can see already, it's a bit of a mess, but it's a beautiful mess. Okay, it's a mess that makes sense. If you think about the tree, the tree itself, what's it called? The tree trunk? I don't know, bark. It's very messy. It's very messy, and you want to keep it interesting. So this is a nice way to do it. Gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna add the details on top. Okay, my bark, I hope it's pronounced in this way, but anyway, my bark, it's completely dry. The reason for which you want to have it to dry is that if you don't make it dry and you go on top of it, all those nice details are gonna go away. It's gonna be messy, it's gonna be just brown or gray, and you are losing all the texture that you have nicely created. So just let it dry. And if you don't want to wait to this to be dry, just take your eye dryer or something like that and dry the paper. That's exactly what I did. But anyway, let's go to details. So when we are creating the details, you need a nice brush that doesn't need to be expensive brush. It needs to be a nice brush. Specifically, let's see a bunch of options. I think the cheapest one I have is this one. This is a random brush that I found on a hobby store, hobby store. And it's supposed to be used for Warhammer miniature. So that's why it has this nice nib. And when you wet it, it's gonna be very pointy. And that's what we want, because we want to create the detail. So we need it to be very pointy. Another option could be that you have a round brush, like this one that I have from Tiger. Round brush are nice because they stay wet for a lot of time, and they basically absorb a lot of water, and then the water is gonna go down little by little on the nib here, and so you can just go for a longer time when you're drawing or painting. They're not the easiest thing to control, I will say, because if you have a lot of pressure, then the line is going to be thicker, and sometimes that's not what you want to do, especially when you're creating like nice details. The last and the most fancy one that I own, that is actually the one that I'm going to use, because it's been a while since I've been using my old friend. This comes directly from Japan, from the oldest Kyoto art supply store, and it's beautiful. It's basically a mop. It interpolates a lot of water, but let me show you. The thing is that this nib is flexible, but not too much, so it actually stays there. So it's very easy to control. It has a beautiful nib. I think this is the best thing that I own to make details. I really love this because it stays wet for a long time, but at the same time, the nib is so small here that the details are great. Of course, you need to learn how to use it, but I think it's very good. So if you ever find something like this, and most importantly, this is not synthetic fibers. I don't remember what fibers are those, but they're not synthetic, and so that's also another plus thing. But let's keep going with the details. So to make the details, I'm gonna just add a little bit of indigo to the mess that I already created before, maybe a little bit of emerald. That's not a little bit, Elisa, this is a lot of emerald, and then just mix everything together. It doesn't matter if it's completely mixed. Part of the beauty of watercolor is the randomness. And now what you want to do is create some lines, but not in the whole surface, because otherwise it's too messy, it's too much stuff, okay? So you just pick some spots in which you want to dry the eye of the people, dry the attention of the people. And you just create some lines, okay? It can be a little bit thicker, it could be a little bit stronger, it could be just, you go a little bit higher and then wonkly, and then you cross them, just to remind the idea that this is a tree. and this is the surface that is not that smooth. Of course, there are other trees that are like smooth, and then you don't need to do this. I could make a bunch of tutorials about other trees maybe also, and they're so fascinating to do. But yeah, that's it. You leave it there. And then you go on the other side to add a little bit more indigo to make it a little bit darker. Now I go into the other side and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. Keep in mind that you already have some texture, so maybe you can just follow it. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna go here, and then I go there, and then I'm gonna just leave this space here that is a little bit lighter. Just gonna keep it there. What's happening there? I don't know. Maybe the wood, like the bark, it's been hidden by some animals, or I don't know. I just, when it was growing, something happening there for which there is no, is it called bark as well? The thing that is on top of the tree. I don't remember. But anyway, it's basically a nice idea to leave whatever texture you have in there so that, you know, you can focus on other things. And most importantly, it's so beautiful. But again, leave something to the imagination. Don't do everything, because otherwise people are like, yeah, okay, got it, and it's too much. It's just too much. As you can see, I'm just wiggling around, just kind of doodling. Okay, the important thing is that you cross on the other side, and then you go on a line, and then you cross on the other side, and then you go on a line. This creates the illusion of this being a tree, you know. Does it make sense? I hope so. It's very relaxing thing. Maybe you can go here as well, randomly. Basically doodling around. Add some linear spots every now and then, just to add more interesting things. And then the last thing that we're gonna do is to use the brush, not in this way, but in this way, so parallel to the surface, to create even more interesting, maybe with a lighter color. Okay, and then I just go the texture of the paper itself is going to create some nice, even more texture, I will say, on my design. Does it make sense? Like so. Basically, you're adding a little of more small washes every now and there, or too wet. Yeah, to keep it more interesting. Nice and smooth. Other thing that you can do with the back of your brush, but I think it's better to do when it's a little bit wet. So in this case here, it's wet, so I can do it. Just go there and scrub it a little bit, just to create even more of this like texture. Okay, what happened there, we don't know, we don't care. It's a tree, it has a long life. Let's add a little bit more water and more damp color in here as well, just to do the same thing also down here. Go even very dark. See? The color is gonna go back there, but it's also leaving some trace of, you know, the brush going there. And I think this is basically it. Now, try it yourself. Find yourself a tree, look at it very closely, and try to make something like this for yourself. Making texture is super fun, guys, and in general, it's just so relaxing to do. Have a lovely rest of your day, and see you next video. Bye.